$600 billion worth of Russian securities are already locked out of the global financial markets, even as banks and fund managers review their portfolios in the wake of the military invasion of the Ukraine by its neighbor, Russia. Looking into the interconnected global financial markets, Chukwu, the CEO at Carry Asset Management, joins me now for a chat to how Nigeria should prepare for the fallout of the global financial actions against Russia. Thanks for coming through, sir. Good evening.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
Let me give me a gauge. Let's get the level of Nigeria's financial market exposure to Russian companies or investors or funds, as it were. Do we have any in this jurisdiction? Johnson.
Yes, absolutely. We have a few Russian entities, financial institutions that are operating in the country today. Some of them actually have operational licenses in Nigeria as we speak. A number of them have extended credits to Nigerian business entities. Those in the capital market and other aspects of business operations, they've extended credits to them. So when Nigerian entities, corporate entities, and some Nigerian HNIs, as high net worth individuals, are exposed to Russian financial institutions as we speak. And those exposures are partly invested in capital markets in Nigeria. So the Nigerian market is exposed to the Russian institutional investors. Beyond that, we also have Russian institutional investors that we are heavily invested in Nigerian equities instruments and some fixed income instruments, Naira-denominated instruments. But interestingly, because of the challenges we had in FX in the past couple of years, a lot of foreign portfolio investors have wound down their portfolios. So you may not have that level of investment we used to have from not only Russian entities but other foreign portfolio investors. But we used to have that, and we still do have Russian financial institutions, Russian portfolio managers that are active in the Nigerian market. So we are exposed to Russian entities, financial institutions, and Nigerians as individuals, that's high net worth individuals, and corporate organizations are also exposed to Russian-based or Russian-originated financial institutions.
What are you hearing on the market street, Johnson, about how the global sanctions on Russia's financial assets could impact Nigeria? What are you hearing from on the street, as it were? You have your ears to the ground.
Well, if you look at the market, a couple of issues are coming up. One is that the severing of Russia from accessing SWIFT will affect trade between Nigerian businesses and Russian entities. Remember, we import a lot of our wheat from Russia, and we import a lot of iron, stuff like hardboard from Russia. And some of those things will be difficult to bring in today, given that you can't effectively execute international trade transactions with Russia. And that could actually have impact on the production of commodities that these serve as input materials. So you find that some factories in Nigeria would depend on Russian entities or Russian import for their spare parts. Some manufacturing outfits depend on Russia for their input materials. So if Russia cannot effectively trade in the international, in the global market, then those Nigerian entities that depend on Russia for input materials or equipment, that is spare parts, will find it difficult to obtain those things and might actually have challenges in continuing to operate or continue to manufacture as it stands today.
You market professionals and institutions. Some of you do have managed funds or portfolios that you manage as what you call collective investment funds and all that. Are you considering the wider implications of this Russian invasion on Ukraine on the economy, the foreign and local investment markets, corporate performance, and so on?
Yes, absolutely. Some of us also manage investors' interests that are outside the country. So you realize that in the past couple of weeks, the capital market globally has been volatile, and we've seen decline in equity prices across board. We've seen decline even in bond prices and increase in yield across board. For those who are even active in Russia, the Russian government has banned foreigners from selling Russian instruments within the capital market. In fact, for the past 2 days, the Russian capital market stock exchange has not opened. So if you are managing portfolios and you have a diversified portfolio that includes Eurobond, for instance, the Eurobond instruments have suffered severe losses in the past couple of days as a result of this invasion of Ukraine by Russia. So you realize that your portfolio has actually suffered decline beyond your ordinary expectations, and you now have to manage Are you going to sell down now, or are you going to hold and wait and hope that the market will correct in the near future? Well, nobody knows how long the war will last, and nobody knows how long the sanctions will last, even if the war ends. So these are challenges we are facing. We also have instances where, for those portfolios that are leveraged, there's some of the financial institutions that are granted leverage or funding for the portfolio are calling back those loans, and they're expecting you to sell down the portfolio. And you now have to manage the lenders to allow you time to either restructure the portfolio or make arrangements to pay down those portfolio, the margins. So the reality is that anybody who is managing a complete portfolio that includes instruments that are dollar denominated or foreign currencies is going to have some difficulties in ensuring that you keep your losses at the minimum.
Well, a few Nigerian banks like Access, JITCO, UBA, and First Bank have some African and global exposures. What are your thoughts?
Well, those exposures will be similar to what you have today. The African continent, granted that we are not near the theater of war, but African countries are either exporting basic raw materials like natural raw materials like cocoa or extractive industry products. And we've seen instances where some of them have actually gained as a result of the war, and while some are also facing severe FX challenge because of the increase in refined petroleum products. So if you have, for those Nigerian financial institutions that have offshore branches or offshore subsidiaries, they now need to balance delicately the demand of the local economies that are going to manage their FX exposures or their currencies within this period of crisis or war situation, and the local entities that may be called upon by the central bank of these countries to further fund their local subsidiaries in the event that the local subsidiaries' solvency ratios are declining as a result of what is going on globally.
We really appreciate time on the show tonight. As always, Johnson Chukwu, the CEO at Carry Asset Management. Thank you so much for your insights.